give the floor to the stakeholders that have joined us today to introduce themselves. After that, then we will start with some project updates from Lola. Then we will move to the implementation of the CERF in different contexts across the ECLIPSE pilot sites. Then we will get some more insights on the ECLIPSE app, and we will finally get insights from the Austrian pilot before we start our discussion and feedback session. So I would like to now give the floor for the stakeholders that have been invited and have joined this meeting to maybe introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with people from ANEL, if someone is here.
Yes. I am Ramon Galart. I am working in ANEL. It's a small DSO placed in Catalonia region, Spain. I am in charge of the innovation department, and I have experience about smart grid from our DSO company. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. Someone wants to go next from Senelec. Do we have someone from Senelec?
Yes, good morning. This is Yves Le Boucher from Senelec, project manager for several TCs.
Good morning. I'm also from Senelec, from the Research Innovation Unit, and just joining for the first half an hour, but it sounds like a really interesting project. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Twig Energy is here. Maybe someone from Inestec, Enercope, the Begonia project representatives, Tinky and Vito. If people are here, we're happy to get introduced to you. Feel free to take the floor.
Good morning. I'm Mikos Kaas from Vito. And in the Interconnect project, we worked together with other partners on the first blueprint of the CERF application. So we're very curious to see the developments that have been done since then.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Moshaba here from ThinkE. And actually, as Chris mentioned, we actually work in Interconnect on the first application. And happy to be here to hear more about this exciting initiative. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Don't worry. Okay, I think we will move on with the agenda since it's a bit complicated to coordinate this introduction, so we don't have any further delays. I will just briefly introduce our speakers for today from the ECLIPSE project side. We have Lola Lacleu from ETRA, Senior Project Manager and Project Coordinator of ECLIPSE Digital. Then we have Diego Garcia from ECLIPSE Digital, Project Technical Leader from ETRA side. Alejandro Vicente from ECLIPSE Digital Project, again, leader, also technical leader from ETRA. And then Shivam Keshyap, Research Associate and Project Manager from the University of Austria. Without further ado, I give the control of the slides to Lola for an introduction of the project and an overview.
Many thanks, Anastasia, and thank you very much for the stakeholders group mainly for being here to support the project, and please feel free to interrupt us in any moment, to comment or ask anything you may need. Also, I also want to thank you, the partners from the consortium, especially to Anastasia, but also all the partners that has just joined today. Not all of them will have time for for participating in to present the slides because the time is limited. But I wanted also to open it to everyone to discuss, to comment, and to make an open discussion in any case. So I will go directly to the slides. First of all, which are the ECLIPSE Digital Project objectives? Why we are here? There were a necessity from the Commission.
Sorry, Lola, we are not seeing the progress slide, I think. I'm still seeing the initial one. I don't know if it's only me.
Yeah, pues no. we tried it before and it seems that it was working.
Okay, now.
And now it's fine? Okay,
now I'm seeing the objectives. Yeah.
Okay. Please, I will ask you anytime. Thank you. Why we had the necessity of a project as Eclipse in the moment that where all the energy in the moment of the energy crisis with the conflict with Russia and any other type of energy, we saw the necessity to accelerate the energy transition to ensure a more resilient and sustainable energy economy in Europe by means of digital solutions. That's why the Commission identified the need to give the power to the final consumer to reduce the energy consumption, to reduce the energy billing, and at the same time to provide the new solutions to improve the stability of the grid. By means of this, the Commission asked ETRA to make an analysis of the landscape in this moment of the energy applications for final consumers, for domestic consumers in this case. The energy applications that were provided from different stakeholders, mainly DSOs, TSOs, aggregators, retailers, etc. And what we identified, and there were many of it. However, there were a lack of common standards, a lack of common platforms, formats, protocols, etc., and that were a problem for interoperability in Europe. So what we are doing in this project is at the end to develop a common European reference framework that is the guidelines, the protocols, the rules in order to be followed, but all the energy saving applications across Europe to be enabled consistency, interoperability, and at the same time to help not only final consumers, but also the operators and other stakeholders of the grid. To do so, we are now demonstrating the development of these energy applications following these common guidelines, but also how it's possible to improve the existing ones by means of this common European reference framework in order to be scalable, compatible, and effective across Europe. So what we are doing now it's to deploy and demonstrate the common European reference framework by means of new applications. We will see the details later, but also the adaptation of the existing ones in 5 demo sites across Europe, which involve 17 European countries and involving all the value chain of the energy domain, including DSOs, TSOs, aggregator retailers, other energy service providers, in order to be replicated across Europe. Do you see my slides moving now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Lola, so, I'm sorry. I think I have control of the slides. I don't know why, but you can tell me whenever you want to switch.
Now I won't be in the slide number 8, Eclipse at a glance?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is why we identified the need of a project such as ECLIPSE Digital and what is ECLIPSE at a glance. To inform you that ECLIPSE Digital is a project that is not part of the Horizon Europe, but a Digital Europe program coordinated by ETRA. We have a consortium of 22 partners from 13 European countries, some of them already here. As I said, pilot sites for 17 European countries, 15 pilot sites in total, with a total budget of 9.8 million euros and a funding of 50%. The duration, this is also very relevant because the Commission was expressly asking for a project of only 24 months. As you know, and if you don't know, I would like to explain it to you. Digital Europe program is a program more specific, focused on the deployment, demonstration, and even exploitation. That's why the Commission gives a very short timing, because they are expecting less research and more focus on the final exploitation, the final demonstration inside, so to say. Next one, please. Okay, do you see the consortium slides now? Okay, yeah, very quickly. This is just to show you the type of consortium we have. 22 partners, any type of stakeholders for any country almost. 7 research and R&D entities, 7 DSOs, 4 TSOs, 2 energy service providers, and 2 energy associations all across Europe, as you can see here. Yeah, just very quickly, all of us. And also very quickly, what have been done during the first period of the project. By the way, we are now almost in the month 18 of the project, which means that the project is ending at the end of August. So we are now in the phase of the demonstration. Just for you very quickly to show you the type of use cases we're identifying. 6 categories, 56 use cases demonstrated in all the demonstration sites. The next one. I would like now to give the floor to my colleague Diego, which is the technical leader of the project, which will show you quickly the work done during the project, not only from ETRA side, but for the whole consortium regarding the Common European Framework in the technical side.
Okay, thank you, Lola. Maybe we can move to the next slide. Okay. So we just wanted to show at a glance the initial outcomes of the project and what we have been developing during the first period. This work has been mostly led by Trialog partners and with the support of the technical support of FETRA and of course all the inputs from the different pilots in the project. We started in order to elaborate this European framework, started by analyzing the different scenarios that we had in all the pilots with the goals to try to compile all the tools in terms of the standards and the data models and so on that were most common in the solutions that we found both in these pilots and in general in other commercial solutions across Europe, with the goal to prepare a data catalog that will serve as a reference for this common European framework. We analyzed the requirements and the evaluation criteria in order to set this data catalog and all the available open source tools and again in different fields, the standards for security, for metadata, for data governance, interoperability, and so on. The idea was to compile this more or less concise list of standards and also add a list of recommendations for each of them that will ensure that the interoperability and the commonality of the use of these tools. We also tried to identify, in order to ease the integration and the development of end user applications, tried to identify already existing components and open source solutions that could make it easier for the integration of new data sources, new energy services into this final goal, which was the end user applications. And we come up with these 3 main foundations or foundational components: the generic adapter from the Interconnect project, which would, by a means of different components and connectors, is the the communication among the different elements in the architecture of the CERF. The EDI framework from OneNet, EDI, and also being developed further in CMA project, which encompasses a data space with different connectors, the governance rules and tools in order to enhance this governance and yeah. Many different functionalities that could be of great use in the integration of new services and new systems. And finally, the ECLIPSE Foundation semantic modeling framework, which again provides a set of tools, mostly focused on the integration and the development of digital twins for existing systems in order to easily generate the code and the programming and the services to emulate these digital twins. Next slide. Okay. Also, based on the analysis of the elements and infrastructure in the different pilots, we try to come up with a common architecture for this reference framework, which we can see here at this the current version of the architecture. In the end, we have tried to refine and going over and over to try to come up with this common architecture that could encompass all the cases that we were working with and future ones. And in the end, it is not expected as something to be found in each pilot, but probably depending on the high-level use case and the elements in each pilot, just a subset of these elements would be implemented. But in the end, we try to provide this general architecture that could fit any scenario that we will work with. And well, also not only the components, but the interfaces among them, and we haven't included them here, but also for each interface we have the common communication standards, the data models, the functions, and so on. We have just in a glance, of course, on the lower level we have the field elements from the smart meters and the home devices to DER and storage systems to medium voltage network elements. Then we have the systems controlling them from the home energy management systems, advanced metering infrastructures, EMSs, SCADAs. Then we have more high-level systems, including the end-user energy apps and their backends, aggregation platforms, DSO systems and TSO systems, flexibility services, and then on the top we have the energy markets and all the marketplaces and the management of the governance of the data and so on. This is just a quick overview on this reference architecture that we come up with. Next slide. Also, based on this, we identified a subset of interoperability points, which encompass different interfaces connecting different elements in this architecture. And for each one of them, we provided, as I mentioned, based on the data catalog and all the previous analysis, we provided a list of recommendations, including the common standards used for the communication among these elements, and inside each one of these standards, a list of recommended good practices and just tips and recommendations for the standardization and the easier integration and interoperability among these elements. We have the Energy App interoperability point, which includes the communication of different components with the Energy App backend, the data sources interface, which is mostly centered in the flexibility services that are in the center, the communication with the field assets and the DSO, and then next one, the DSO interface and the communication with the metering data system, the EMSs, the Flex platform, and the energy market. This is just an overview, but the documentation with the specific standards and recommendations is provided as an outcome of the project. And the next slide. Okay, and also as an outcome of the project, before leaving the floor to my colleague Alejandro, just as a quick overview. So we had 14 different pilots, each of them with specific, first of all, interests and goals, which were materializing into use cases. Different development status. Some of them had already end user applications that were already working and running in commercial applications. Some of them had just some prototypes, and some of them didn't have any end user application. For this last scenario, what we did is to develop from scratch an end user application that would, first of all, cover the functionalities needed for the fulfillment of the specific use cases in these pilots, and then would also be published as an open source application, at least the end user interface and the mockup backend, and could be used in further scenarios beyond the project as an example for the integration with the CERF. This being said, I will leave the floor to Alejandro, who will present this application.
Thank you, Diego. So following with the application functionality, well, if you can go back to the previous one for a moment, please. So functionality-wise, we decided to develop 2 application versions that are aimed at addressing different functionalities depending on the end user. So first of all, as you can see in the screenshots from this slide, a personalized version that allows end users to register their smart meters and then monitor the consumption they have at home with functionalities such as consumption disaggregation, monitoring of power and energy prices, personalized notifications, and so on. And for this version, it's currently being tested in the Greek pilots, which are Medlen and Hedno. And then on the other hand, in the next slide, we can see the other version we are developing, which is more aimed at showing general data, for example, like national data regarding power demand, generation, the status of the grid depending on the zone the user is living on, and also some tips that are provided by each of the pilots, which are of interest to their end users. In this case, the application is being tested in Bulgaria by ESO and in Cyprus by TISOC. So instead of putting here some screenshots and explaining them, we decided to prepare a video that will go through both of these versions. So if we go to next slide and play the video, I will explain the most important functionalities we have been developing. So first of all, this is the version where users can register themselves and then add the smart meter they have at home by putting some basic data and their ID and so on. And once this smart meter is registered, they will be able to see the consumption they have, and also add the appliances that are connected to this smart meter by selecting from a predefined list the type of appliance, either a TV, an oven, a dishwasher, etc. So by doing this, later on, as we will see in the monitoring screen, the application will be able to detect all these different appliances, the consumption each one is doing, and then disaggregating them into a widget we will see now in the bottom. So here in the monitoring section, we have a consumption chart where we can see the consumption for the day and also switch for the consumption of the week and the current month in this case. Then we have a chart for monitoring the power. In this case, maximum, average, and minimum power, also for the day, for the week, and for the month. Here, a disaggregation chart that will use the NILM, an algorithm we have developed in ETRA, also from previous projects and used in ECLIPSE for disaggregating the consumption of each different appliance. And also here we have a widget showing the price. Then moving to flexibility, here we have some additional features like selecting the threshold at which the application will notify the user if the consumption has exceeded the value that we put here. Also a feature for filling reports in case we had some problems in the grid or in a specific appliance. And here in the tips section, the user will be able to see some general on the one hand and personalized tips on the other that will depend on parameters like the consumption the user has had throughout the day. So we think this can be really useful for users to reduce their consumptions and also to save on the money they spend each month. And then at the top, we also implemented some push notifications that will alert the user in case, as I said, they had some consumption threshold surpassed or some notifications sent by the administrators to all the users in their country and so on. Then moving to the other version, which is showing more general data for the country, we have the national demand here that users can monitor. Also, the power generation separated by source. Then also here in this screen, all the different zones of the country on the grid status. Either if it's normal status, if there's an alert or an emergency, that specific zone will be marked with orange or red color, and then the emergency message will be shown to the users. And in this case, we also have a tips recommendations menu where users will be able to follow some recommendations to reduce their consumptions. Here in preferences, they can edit the type of tips they want to see depending on the interest of each specific user. And yeah, more or less these have been the functionalities we have implemented so far. Of course, this is not the finished version as the project still has around 6 months before it ends. So as we are now testing both versions with both internally and with the pilots, we are getting some feedback and we expect to improve these versions until the end of the project. So yeah, more or less these are all the functionalities I wanted to share with you, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or doubts you might have at the end in the discussion session. So you can move to next slide.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Diego. Just to quickly finalize with introduction of the project. What's next? All after this effort that we are doing in the project, of course, we need to be sure to have the strategies for the long-term adoption and to increase the impact of the CERF, the Common European Reference Framework defined in the project. The planning is to establish a CERF foundation, a non-profit organization, in order to maintain and evolve the CERF footprint beyond the project. The idea is to provide the support to the developers in order to make use of the CERF beyond that, to implement, to provide the reference implementation in open code repositories, to create an ECLIPSE project digital knowledge hub with documentation, tutorials, examples, etc. Even our planning is also to issue an official CERF compliant quality level, something like this, in order to make possible to facilitate the adoption of the CERF. So in our strategies that we are now identifying in the exploitation planning of the project is some kind of memberships, sponsorships, etc., from the different type of stakeholders on the energy value chain. Also, of course, the compliant quality level, other public funding if possible, and other options. Do you see the next slide? Not sure if I make it. No? Can you go to the next, Anastasia?
No. Yeah.
Okay, and which will be the benefits from the members of this foundation is, of course, to participate in the working groups and to contribute to the ethical, technical issues of the CERF to be updated. After this, to influence to the strategic decisions of the CERF foundations, of course, to have some discounts for the events, training, CERF compliant quality level process, to participate in the exhibitions together with other members, etc. And of course, to promote a partner network between the different members of the foundations. More ideas are more than welcome, of course. And now I would like to give the floor to Sivan in order to present one as an example, one of the pilot sites in the project, which are the one from Austria. So next slide.
Yeah, thank you, Lola. So good morning, everyone. This is Shivam Kashyap from University of Applied Sciences Upper Austria. And today I'll take you through the Austrian pilot of the ECLIPSE project. So before we start with the solution itself, I would like to bring in a brief description of the problem we are tackling right now. And because once we see the problem, we can see the solution architecture in a more transparent way. So when we see on the left, we have a typical home with different in-home assets like a smart meter, heat pumps, etc., and a lot of sensors there. On the right side, we see some of the application providers or eligible parties who have the right to get the data or who request the data to run their applications. But each eligible party having their own application like a DSO and an energy community application or an energy XY company application. The problem is that each eligible party currently needs to tackle the data integration on their own and independently. So they have to connect to different in-home assets multiple times, each doing this bilaterally and doing it again and again. So each connection is actually an integration problem itself. So this is not the core activity of the applications, but this is really required to run the applications correctly. And this is currently the main issue, because if a new startup is coming with an innovative application, they again have to reiterate the same process, again connect to different in-home data assets multiple times. And similarly, on the other hand, if the user brings in a new asset, this integration is also required for the existing applications. So same data traveling multiple times and integration being done on multiple times on the other hand. So the problem here is that this is not really scalable, and it's often subject to vendor lock-ins. And each new entrant has to integrate all the connections. It also leads to higher data load as many irrelevant data pieces are transmitted, leading to higher infrastructure costs and communication costs also. And this is also not optimal for data protection, minimalization, and other regulatory obligations. So we need to handle this in a more smart way, and there what we bring in a component. For now, I have not deliberately named this component how we call it, but for now we can take it as a smart orchestrator, which handles the data connections. It fetches data from the in-home data assets. So one connection required to be configured once, and then it can actually normalize the data. It can provide easy integration to the eligible parties, to the different app providers or service providers. So they do not have to reiterate the process again and again. It can do this smart load management. So only the data which is actually required by the application is transmitted based completely on the user consented data transmission. So what this brings in is removes the spaghetti and brings in a hub and spoke model there. But this would solve the problem, a lot of integration problems, but this is not sufficient on its own because we need something like data policies. So which application needs exactly what data? Within that, the granularity, frequency, remuneration, data formats, etc. And this should only route the data which is required by the application. And this data policy is component. Again, I'm not naming them. I'll name all these components in a later stage. But first, I want to come up with what exactly they are doing here. So the data policy is set, and the smart orchestrator takes this data policy as a strict movement of data itself based on the data policy. But who controls everything? So the control lies with the end users. So they have a consent management which can grant, deny, and revoke the consent. Based on the informed decisions they can make, for example, which data is requested by whom, purpose of the data, who is the eligible party, different details, and the grant length also. All these three things together work to solve the problem of data flows. But still there is an underneath problem hiding behind is the services. So with this, we can start making the data to flow, but services still do not. So every app still reinvents the similar features, but independently. What we can do again here is, if you see on my right, we have 3 eligible parties with similar applications like dashboard, analytics, data views, and so on. But these are some basic features which are required by most of the applications there. So we can introduce another component that is interoperability manager, but this is just a name placeholder for now. Think of it as a shared space where different functionalities of the applications actually live. So what we can do here is common functionalities and services can be pushed by the service providers. Apps can borrow these functionalities, so they do not have to rebuild from the scratch every time again and again. And new services, if I have a new innovative algorithm, for example, AI-based flexibility forecast, I do not need an application for itself, but rather this service can actually be pushed into this interoperability manager, and this can be reused by the existing services or existing applications there. How it actually works is that these services are not living anymore in the digital silo of the application itself, but rather this is executable or on the smart orchestrator block here. So the services run here, they consume the required data based on the user consent and produce the output. And this output is actually provided to the end user applications on the right. So what this does is that these applications becomes the display layer of all the outputs of the services and not digital silos anymore. Again, this is based or controlled by the end users themselves. So this is not just a terms and condition static page, but rather a very dynamic ecosystem where users can actually install or uninstall the services. They can browse through the services space and install those services which they are interested in, give them permission, reject, or revoke them. So this is almost similar as if you are installing an app using App Store or Play Store there. To name all of these right now, as the smart orchestrator is actually, we call it as AIDA. This is coming from also based on the another project we are coordinating, that is Project EDI. And also closely, we are using this in another project we are coordinating again as Project INCMA. But then we have the main space, which is having the data policies and the services. There is the data and service marketplace backend. This is where the eligible parties can actually set the policies, data needs, and so on. And the smart meter application, on the other hand, is the application where you can actually browse through the marketplace. The marketplace application, you can browse through the marketplace, install the services, and also give the consents. So this is the whole ecosystem. 2 stories, data and services with one architecture, making 0 silos. How we use this in the Austrian pilot is we have similarly at the bottom ADI and IDA, the data space connections to fetch historical and near real-time data access. Then we have marketplaces where all the services live that can be installed on AIDA. And then on the right, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but next to the marketplace, you have the web application where the eligible parties actually configure what the data needs and other aspects required there, the data policies. Consent management application is the marketplace application where users actually handle the consent. And all this is executed on AIDA, all these services, and then the data is fed to ECLIPSE backend, the ECLIPSE Austrian ECLIPSE App backend. The idea here is that this backend and the application itself can be replaced by any other application where all the remaining green colored components still remain there. So the application does not have to redo or reinvent the whole wheel again. So briefly, I'll go through the 3 groups of stakeholders, for example, where this architecture actually adds value to. So for example, if we consider the first persona as clean energy innovator, this is a person who is bringing on their own new app. So for them, every new country is a full integration project. So they have to go for new DSO connections, new API registrations, new onboarding flows, UI localizations, etc. So time to market is really high as compared to economies of scale. Then the core business activities actually suffer because the data integration and pipeline plumbing activities are not their core business. So the new startups can actually focus if they use the solution here. So for example, they can publish their services on the marketplace, and the consent flows, and data stream integration, everything is handled by the platform itself. So one publication and then the global reach. An application that joins the ecosystem can actually install the services immediately, breaking the digital silos also. And complete focus lies on the core business activities. So the companies or the startups do not have to work on the plumbing activities more there. And the service providers can actually reach the end users. For example, a member of the energy community can directly be reached there. A second persona is a solution architect who is responsible for making things work across different member states. For them, right now, 27 markets is more than 27 compliance problems. So every market has a different EU regulation, each needing their own user consent, legal framework, and so on. This results in the brilliant palettes trapped by the geographies. It takes months to cross a border. And then the standards, they are very different. They are fragmented in a way that the implementations are not really compatible directly out of the box. So what the shift would help them is a user consent that actually applicable throughout Europe based on GDPR rules or best practices rather, not just rules. Data formats are abstracted at the infrastructure layer of the data space. ID and IDA normalize the data streams. And then if you publish once, deploy it any connected market. So a service validated in Austria deploys identically in Spain, Denmark, or Netherlands. No new integration projects there. And third and the final persona as an example here is of a DSO who wants to bring in a new service to their application. So they have to go through a new API contract, new regulatory reviews, UI elements, and so on. So a simple service would take reinventing the wheel and to work for months before the dedicated application reach their customers. This also leads to another problem. One size fits all usually means nothing fits there, because an EV apartment sees apartment tenant sees an EV charging optimization, a solar prosumer sees a basic consumption dashboard. Therefore, irrelevant services drive low engagement and support overhead for the DSOs. The third problem here is also the DSOs are really occupied with maintaining the legacy infrastructure, and they have limited bandwidth to come up with new personalization or intelligence the digital customers are expecting right now. This could be helped with the shift by using the pre-integrated services. So the services in the marketplace arrive with a set of data streams and associated consent templates. So it is not an implementation exercise, but rather a configuration exercise now. Then each user sees actually what is relevant to them, because the users can actually now go and install the services they are interested in. So the consumer would see a consumption dashboard only, and a prosumer would see a production analytics, or EV owner would see grid services which are more relevant to them. And then the new service would not take months, but rather it would be live in days. And this is would increase the customer satisfaction for such DSOs, for instance. Yeah, that was it from the Austrian palette very briefly. Happy to have some questions if there are. Anastasia, over to you.
Thank you, Shivam, for the really nice presentation. We will indeed move to some questions from the audience, if there are any. I kindly ask that those of you who did not already introduce yourselves earlier to do so now before asking your question. And I would also like to inform you that we've prepared a Mentimeter with some questions for you that you can either verbally reply to or reply to them through your device. But first, yeah, if you have any questions, the floor is yours. Okay, if not, I will move to the panel discussion, and basically the Mentimeter questions that we have prepared for you, I will share. Chris, I see a hand raised. You can go ahead.
Hi, good morning. It was very interesting progress to see, and looks very nice. One question that for me is still not clear is how what was done to tackle the interoperability challenge. Yeah? So do you have many different standards to be supported? Was there like a selection done that's then being, let's say, enforced on IDA and the other components? Or was there something done to, say, look at interoperability at a higher level, so more like the semantic level instead of the syntactic level? Can you say something about that?
So maybe I can answer in general, and then we can see the Austrian pilot. Yeah, so it was more tackled at a higher semantic level. So we didn't try to enforce one restricted set of standards or even one, because in the end, as Shivam said, this would not work if it's only one way. No one will fit in. And instead, what we try to do is to, with this analysis of the data catalog and so on, try to provide recommendations once this standard for each specific interface was selected. So in the end, we know there are several options, and the idea is to try to provide recommendations that make it easier. Once when one of these standards is selected, makes it easier for developers to integrate with them, because yeah, in the end, they provide these mechanisms like I don't know, just thinking out loud, pagination or yeah, this data model explanation and so on. They provide an easier scenario for the integration of new services and new applications.
Yeah. So this means in the pilot that was shown in Austria, that this specific AIDA platform, it has a semantic interface to which you can can connect? Would it be based on CERF or something else?
Yeah, maybe I can jump in here. Thank you, Chris. So the idea is that AIDA itself is more of an infrastructure component and not itself focused or forcing anyone to use only one semantic or ontology. So here we already support, for example, SIM, CERF, and other some other ontologies as well. And the idea here is also to keep the innovation wheel going on. So not to restrict with a fixed standard, because then the innovation would not kick in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and therefore we are completely aware of this, and we are taking more and more ontologies on board. So whatever is required, because we have our internal representation of data, and then we do a mapping to the other ontology which is required by the end user or by the application itself. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. I have a question regarding communication latency, because you had some new building blocks, right? Did it impact your communication latency, for example, from the smart meter to the DSO systems and then to the DSO system to the application? And if it's possible to support all the services that you need in the relevant timing?
I mean, at least, sorry, please.
Go ahead, Diego.
Okay. Just in general, again, providing a general answer, the services that we are managing in the pilots and in the use cases do not require a higher latency, let's say seconds or even 1 minute. We are working generally with 5 to 15 minutes data, so it's not something that will impact these specific scenarios in the project. And it would depend if we will have the case where this latency should be of the order of milliseconds. We should run a study if this could be impacted, and in fact, I would note it as I don't know, maybe some test. Lab testing for this kind of a scenario, but in general, as we are mostly focused on end user services and that work with metering data and billing and so on, in the end is not a high requirement of the project. I don't know if Shivam, if you want to complement something.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, Diego, here. So the services which we have tackled till now were not requiring a resolution of microsecond or millisecond there. So it was not a problem, at least we have faced till now.
But are you planning to try some fast loop service?
Yes, I would take it as an input, because then I have to also clarify if what is the latency it is costing right now. But it's a really interesting aspect, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are any other questions, you can feel free to ask them. But in the meantime, I will also share the Mentimeter with some questions that we have for you. It would be great if you want to answer verbally or through your screen. That's also okay. So you should see the Mentimeter soon. So you can use your actual screen on the Teams to answer, or use the QR code, or if you prefer, so I will also share a link in the chat that you can use to log in. We will also share the Mentimeter link in the follow-up of this session, so you can take some time to answer afterwards if you prefer to. Also from the ECLIPSE team, if anybody sees any answers that they would like to ask more about, feel free to ask for more details.
Yeah, no, just as a general comment, I see concepts that we are already considering in the project, and they are being tackled. So it's good to see that we are aligned. Yeah,
that's it. I think that we have sent the message, and it have been got the message we wanted to.
Okay, I will go to the next question. I think you should be able to also skip through the questions in case you have already answered one of them and you wish to go to the next one. You can feel free to do so.
if I may ask some clarification on this no lock-in benefit. I don't know whose input it is.
It came from me, and it has to do that indeed it should be able for consumers to easily switch between service providers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that ideally it's indeed like a no-code integration, but based on these semantic concepts.
Mm-hmm.
You can switch. And I think one typical example is maybe a very simple one. If you would have an EMS where you need the tariff information from your energy supplier. I mean, you should be able to just switch between one and the other, and not requiring, say, a complicated process or install new apps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot. I will move to the next slide question. As our last three questions may require some more time to think, I will show the next two. And as I said earlier, we will also share the link for the Mentimeter in case you wish to provide some feedback at your own time as well.
Yeah, so I see that maintenance is mentioned as one of the barriers. Just to comment that as part of the project, it is envisioned to provide these guidelines for the maintenance of the CERF as beyond the project. So the idea is to keep CERF alive, of course, once the ECLIPSE project ends by the end of August. And this will be considered in order to make it easier to or to provide at least some recommendations and some guidelines for this maintenance in the future. I don't know, Lola, if you want to talk about the future.
Yes, that's I present before. The plan, the strategy is to follow to go on with the CERF by means of a foundation. Of course, as also it's included in this list, there are potential support or potential barriers which are not so much technical, but lack of regulatory, as you know, also national and European different type of regulation should be aligned. Also the support from for public support, not only the sense of funding or economic financial support, but also communication support in order to make to provide this to make it the knowledge regarding CERF to everyone in the value chain. In order to continue with this, it's not only a group of people that would like to continue with this, it's also the support from the Commission, especially, and for the other entities that should be here with us. That is, it is mentioned here: regulation, lack of public support, etc. Sustained funding, it's also mentioned there. It's all related. So yeah.
Thank you, Lala, and thank you everybody for answering this question as well. I will move to the last one. Okay, I'm slowly taking us back to our slides to close off the meeting.
Yeah, just to mention the things, the measures and strategies that have been included here, all of them very aligned with our expectations. Of course, what we would like is to continue with this. However, as mentioned before, we need some support. I mean, I specifically mentioned public, but it should be also private from other type of stakeholders, as mentioned also in my slides. The importance of sponsorship or similar from type of stakeholders, organizations, etc. That's why also this is one of the main points of the organization of these workshops. To know what were your expectations in order to be aligned and to propose an interesting and appealing CERF beyond the project in order to engage stakeholders as you are. The idea, so as mentioned in one of the points before, to keep the momentum. ECLIPSE is going to an end, is finishing at the end of August. The idea is to keep working on it. For this, we need some support, of course, but this is the plan also for the Commission. This is the plan for the public administration. So we should continue on this, on the technical level, of course, but also in the in other type of levels, social, regulation, etc. So that's our plans, our strategy, and our expectations beyond that, beyond the end of the project. I would like also to take this opportunity to I mean, we have some time left. In case there is something to be mentioned, I mean, from the partners of the project, from the stakeholders, for anyone. From my side, I think it's been a very interesting discussions. Of course, we will be available for you anytime. Not only, I mean, we would like to have you your recommendations, your comments, your suggestions all the time. That's just, we are closing it in this after the end of this workshop. We have time now. We can also have any time you would like. Because your support is very interesting. I don't know if there is anything else from your side, comments, questions. Anastasia, if you wish to add anything else.
Yes, I just wanted to mention again that beyond the Mentimeter, I will follow up to share with you the recording, the slides, but also the link to answer any of the questions if you wish to do so. We do encourage you to reach out, of course, again, like as Lola mentioned, with any feedback at any moment. And you have already received the first edition of the stakeholders newsletter. We will continue sharing updates with you throughout the remaining time of the project. So we hope to hear back from you on these newsletters as well. And unless there is nothing else to be mentioned, I would like to thank you again very much for taking the time to be here. It's been really interesting, and your input is really important to us. And we hope to stay in touch and to hear back from you again.
Thank you so much. It has been very, very fruitful. I hope we will keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.